Bit of space to go forward into with the ball.
Evening, man.
What's up, guys? Diego from SGN, and I have a little video for you guys, which, as you can see from the title, is going to be completely roasting FIFA 19, and I think that it's 100% deserved because this is, of course, in my opinion, the worst FIFA that has ever come out, and that's saying a lot because I've played pretty much every single FIFA except for like FIFA 02, FIFA 05, and that's pretty much it. I've played all the other ones, or at least I've owned almost all of them. Other ones I've played here and there. And the only one I haven't owned since FIFA 06 has been FIFA 15. That's just to give you an idea of how much FIFA I've played. I've played the series pretty much religiously ever since I was a little kid. So I have a lot of experience with this series, and I know a good game from a bad one. And this is most certainly a very, very bad one. And like I said, the worst one in my opinion of all time. That's saying a lot considering how bad FIFA 18 was and how bad some of the other ones have been in the series. But this is a new standard in terms of how bad a game could possibly be. And I'm not going to say it's the worst game I've ever played in terms of all gaming, but it's definitely up there. So what you guys are going to be seeing in this video in the background of me, behind me just roasting the game and telling you kind of all the problems and, of course, some of the pros of the game as well. You know, giving them some props where the props are deserved. Is going to be all my goals scored, conceded, and a lot of the weird shit that happened in my last weekend league. So from 2 weeks ago, from when the team of the season was in full-fledged. So you guys are going to be seeing a lot of weird shit alongside some nice goals, alongside some really bad ones, both scored by me and conceded by me. So, you know, I'm not going to be giving you guys just like a bunch of weird stuff that happens against me, but I'm going to be showing you guys some stuff that goes in my favor as well, because this isn't really a video like to roast FIFA for what happens against me. It's just to show you how bad the state of the game is in general. And in order to do that, I have to show you some of the things that go in my favor that really shouldn't. So let's just go ahead and get this started. As you can see, my team isn't very meta. Of course, Hugo Lloris in goal. He's not a great keeper in the game, but you know I needed him for in terms of chemistry. Vieirinha, I got, of course, on the Reds for my team of the season. He's a really good player. Varela to link with him. Laurent Blanc is a very, very good player, and Babu is a very, very good player as well. Luis Figo is phenomenal. Doucouré is not bad. Keane is pretty good. Is definitely not one of the best, but he's definitely like I would say a slightly better Conte. Giggs is phenomenal. Unfortunately, no right foot, but he's definitely still a really, really good player. Jovic is by far the best player I've used all season. Of course, I haven't tried, the various Ronaldos and stuff like that, so I can't really judge based on that. But from what I've had, he's definitely the best player I've had all season. And then Lewandowski was really, really good on the bench, as you can see. Zlatan is a phenomenal player. Quagliarella is arguably the second best striker I've used behind Jovic. He's just phenomenal. Pizzi, didn't really use him. Sergio Ramos was a huge disappointment and easily the worst defender I had on my team of all season. And then Tagliafico, who is a very, very solid player. And I had him actually in my arguably my best ever weekend league performance, where I was 11-6 and had to stop due to unfortunately not having enough time. But he's a very, very good player as well. And I had him alongside De Ligt, the 84 version, who was also very, very good. But, I mean, I went into this team because I wanted to use something that's a little bit less meta than usual. And as you can see on my tactics here, Jovic just plays a cam, Lewandowski playing above him. Keane and Doucouré is the center back, so the center defensive mids who have to stay back while attacking. And Babu and Vieirinha are both very offensive, but I have them on stay back because they go forward anyway. But I wanted to make sure that I have some defensive cover because my biggest issue with the game is, of course, defending, which is where the skill gap should be the highest. But my biggest issue isn't necessarily with the fact that the skill gap doesn't really exist. It's just a matter of me just not being a good defender. So this team, the one that I started off with, was pretty good. Courtois, one of the best defenders, one of the best keepers in the game. 95 Ramos, apparently for everybody else is really good, but for me he's just awful. Mbappe, 87, doesn't matter what version you have of Mbappe, he's always going to be one of the best players in the game, and he's just a very, very dominant player. Here we Roy Keane bombing forward, dishing out the Giggs. That's a very, very lucky deflection. Of course, it's going to be pure luck here because none of this stuff should actually be happening, and it is a nice finish from Jovic. But that's just to give you an idea of how a lot of goals happen in FIFA 19 in the weekend league. It's just a lot of weird stuff happening where it shouldn't really be happening, but it does. I don't recall each and every single one of these goals, so I don't know exactly how all of them go, but I do remember that a lot of them are fucking bullshit. But the point is, like, a lot of what you're going to be seeing very often in this game is a lot of situations where there's kickoff glitches. Okay, so what that is, if you don't know, is basically where as soon as the kickoff happens, until the ball goes out of bounds, then the AI, the defending AI continues to have these weird lapses of concentration, and the center backs in particular just spread out hugely, so like they don't even come close to being together. So there end up being huge holes in the middle of your defense, and there's really not much you can do about that because, you know, sometimes the AI has to be reliable, but it's just not reliable. And there's a lot of these situations here where you can't really do much about it, especially when I had a guy like Sergio Ramos in defense who has a high offensive work rate and a low defensive work rate. And there you can see another situation like where he should have scored here. This should have been 2-2, but it wasn't. And it's just another one of those situations where if it happened to me, I would have been extremely pissed. And, you know, thankfully it didn't in this scenario. And I actually ended up getting the third goal, hitting the post, of course, and then finishing it off with a nice little tap in by Giggs to make it 3-1. But, you know, kickoff glitches are, in my opinion, arguably the worst thing about this game because, of course, anytime there's a kickoff, especially if this is why so many people want to be the home team. Like, if you've ever played the weekend league, you've probably noticed how most people quit if they're the away team. And you can know that because if you enter the lobby and there's already somebody in there, that means you're going to be the away player. And if that's the case, 99% of the time, people are going to quit just because they want to be the home team. Because if you start off with the first kickoff, then you have a very solid chance of going 1-0 up very, very early. Because literally every time you kick off, the defenders are completely retarded. They do a bunch of stupid shit. There's huge holes in the middle of the defense, and as long as you go kind of like start on the wings and then kind of cut in forward a little bit in the middle, then you're almost guaranteed to score. Like, I'm not going to say it's almost guaranteed, but if you play your cards right, then you are going to score. Like, if you watch some of the recent matches from the playoffs for the EA, so basically the pro circuit, their next to last tournament, essentially there was a match between, I think it was Kurt and Tex, I think it was, who are the two of the best players in the world. They essentially scored like 3 goals in a row that were all from kickoff glitches. So that just gives you an idea how common, unfortunately, it is. And if it isn't a kickoff glitch, then half the time it's going to be like a weird deflection, and that favors you in a big way, or half the time it's going to, like in this situation right here, this is another huge issue, is 1v1 with the keeper. There is absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be scoring 90% of them. But unfortunately, and this isn't just me, this is almost all the fucking pro players and everything, they all complain about the same thing. 1-on-1 with the keeper almost always ends up on top. It doesn't matter who you have. If you have Cristiano Ronaldo, if you have Michele Vano from Carpi, it doesn't matter who you're using. It does not matter who you're using. The goalkeeper, 90% of the, well, not 90% of the time, but I would say 70% of the time is going to come out on top. And that just isn't the way it works in real life. It doesn't work that way in real life. If you're 1-on-1 with the keeper, you should score almost every single time. Unless you choke, unless you blow it, and that's fine. In fact, if you do that, then that's your fault. But most of the time, you should be scoring. That doesn't happen that often in FIFA 19. And that's a really, really big shame because, you know, that's one of the things that they should be nailing, and it shouldn't be too difficult for them to get right. And yet, for some reason, they continue year after year to not be able to do that. And this year in particular, it's been awful. It's like with time finishing, if you hit the green, then you have a pretty solid chance. Like right there, Giggs wide open with the 1-on-1 with the keeper. A great player like Giggs, you know, a phenomenal left foot, known for his precision, known for his power, and it just goes straight to the keeper. It's just ridiculous. And here they give a bullshit penalty. This is another huge issue with the game, is that a lot of times the physics engine or something like that has some issues to where it isn't quite able to understand the difference between a contact that shouldn't be a penalty, so where like contact to where the striker runs into the defender, and so it shouldn't be a penalty, and then of course contact where literally the defender goes flying into the striker, and that's fair. That should be a penalty. But whenever the striker is the one that goes into the defender, that should not be a penalty. At best, it should be an indirect free kick, but that's not the way it works. So I mean, it's like that right there again. Lewandowski, wide open shot. There was no keeper, misses it. And it's just the inconsistent finishing of this game is insane. It really does lead you to question why you're even playing it half the time. Like I said, it's not just me. It's all the pro players complaining. So, I mean, that just goes to show you that whether you're a Gold 2 player like myself, whether you're an elite player like, you know, some of the better ones, and here, of course, Fernando Torres, like I said, kickoff glitch. It's off to the wing, dish it out to Fernando Torres with a through pass, and it's a goal because the defenders are not marking. Anyway, like I was saying, like it doesn't matter if you're a go-to player, it doesn't matter if you're an elite player, it doesn't matter if you're top 100, it doesn't matter if you're a squad battles player. As long as you're playing this game, inconsistent finishing is always going to be an issue, and it's easily the most frustrating thing about the entire situation, about the entire game. It's just really, really annoying, and like I said, it really makes you question why the hell why the hell you play this game? Like, you'll be one-on-one with the keeper, we won't score. Open goal, you won't score. And all of a sudden, the opponent will come down, you'll shoot, the ball will go between the defender's legs. It'll go in just extremely awkward fashion right through a keeper's hand, and it just doesn't make any sense. So the game is clearly broken, and as you can see from a lot of these goals as well, one of the most broken things in the game is the near post corner, where essentially they just send it straight into the players on the first post, on the near post. If it's like an Ibrahimovic, it's unstoppable. If it's any player who's remotely tall, it's pretty much unstoppable. So there's a lot of issues with the game like that, and they never were able to fix it, and they claim to have fixed the kickoff glitch, but it's stronger than ever. Maybe the 18 was actually worse. 18 was probably worse with the kickoff glitch, I will say that, but there's so many more issues with 19 that it's really hard to fathom how that's even possible. You know what I mean? Like, FIFA 18 was such a bad game that coming into this when I figured, there's no way it's going to be worse, and yet it somehow was able to worse, and pretty much all of us noticed as soon as the game dropped with the demo, this game was just pure trash. Like, look at this goal right here. Like, it's just so many stupid deflections off of posts and bouncing off of keepers, bouncing off of random legs. It's just ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. Another huge issue with the game, unfortunately, is the fact that from launch, there were a million broken mechanics. Number one, the croquette. Number one is the croqueta. There's pretty much absolutely no way you can defend it. And if you don't know what the croqueta is, it's basically where you hold down left bumper and then to one of the directions, or left or right in this case. And essentially what happens is you do an elastico. So you switch from one foot to the other. And depending on the player you have, like if it's Mbappe, if it's one of the faster players like Neymar, etc., then it's going to be so fast to where you have zero chance of stopping it. And even if you're doing it with somebody who's a bit slower and more robust, I guess you could say, like Zlatan, it's still going to be really, really hard to do. It's just to stop. It's pretty much impossible to stop because there is no animation in the game for defenders to be able to stop that particular move, and it's really frustrating because there's pretty much nothing you can do about it. Like, if you have somebody who's decent at doing them, then you're going to concede goals from it, and you're going to concede a lot of them. That's why, like, a lot of times you'll see in some of the higher level competitive play, like Kurt in particular, he only does it. And Kurt is the only respectable guy that I have in terms of like professional, I would say, FIFA YouTubers, because even though he's a pro, and even though that's kind of like the way he makes his money, that's how he makes his living, he still goes after EA constantly, says the way it is, and he talks shit about them because they deserve it. So I respect the hell out of him for that. But a lot of the other pros in the community, they don't have the same kind of balls as him, and they all just kind of let it be. They don't really, of course, I understand why. Like, they're trying to make a living out of it, and if they get banned like Kurt did, then that's going to be an issue. But at the same time, this is the game that you're going to be playing 12 months out of the year. Or at least 11 months out of the year if you're a pro. So you need to have a good game. If not, you're going to go insane, like all these players are. So, I mean, you have to speak out about it. But a lot of these guys, like I said, Kurt, what he'll do is he'll do the elastico, but he'll only do it in a situation where he can dribble as well. Like, if he won't just spam elasticos in between each other, he'll also do like a regular dribble to where it's not insanely cheese. It's still cheese, but when you're playing against other people that are extremely competitive, and it is a matter of you making $35,000 or $75,000 or not, then it makes sense. It kind of makes sense to use the cheese mechanics that are in it, because if not, then you're at a huge deficit. So I understand that, but I also understand the fact that he, for the most part, doesn't like to do it. So I do appreciate that, and I do respect the not just the pro players, but the players like me who refuse to do them. Who I don't do any croquettes. I do them every once in a while. Like you'll see maybe one every 10 games, and I don't do any time finishing because I think that's bullshit. I don't do keeper movement, which is bullshit. So I refuse to do any of the cheese mechanics, which could also be one of the reasons why I don't necessarily achieve as much as I think I could when it comes to the weekend league. I'm like I said, my best performance was actually in this weekend league that I'm showing you guys on screen, which was gold 2. Usually I was pretty much gold 3, but I never really finished all the matches because I just don't really have that much time during the winter or during the summer. Really, summer's actually worse. So, I don't really have that much time to do this stuff, to play as much as I would like to. But regardless, I'm a gold 3, gold 2 player, so nothing special. And I think that if I used more of the mechanics that are easily just broken, then I probably could get to gold 1, I would say. I don't know about elite because that's definitely a nice step up, but I think I could definitely get to gold 1 if I started using some of the more cheese mechanics like the croquette, like the time finishing, like goalkeeper movement. But I guess that's just not how I am. I'm a lot more of a purist. Like, I play FIFA not because I love FIFA necessarily, but because I love football. And when I play FIFA, I want to play like I'm playing football, at least as much as I possibly can. So time finishing is bullshit, keeper movement's bullshit, and that doesn't have any space for me when I play FIFA. If you want to use it, that's your thing. You know, do you. I understand why, but I'm not going to do it. It's just it kind of goes against what I believe in. So, like I was saying, you know, goalkeeper movement is another huge issue where essentially if you hold down the right stick, you can move your goalkeeper any way, any direction you want, anywhere. And the big issue with that is that when you move the keeper, they're extremely fast. Like, if they're moving by themselves, they aren't that quick, unless there's like sprinting out to get to a ball. But when they're between the posts, they aren't that quick. But if you use goalkeeper movement, then they can do things that are pretty much impossible and things that would not happen in real life. So it's extremely broken. And unfortunately, they're going to be bringing it back in FIFA 20. They said they're going to nerf it a little bit, but they're still bringing it back, which, you know, is definitely a bummer. But I guess it is what it is. You know, it's meta. It is what it is. People use it in the pro scene, so because they have to. So they're going to bring it back, of course, and there's not much I can do about it personally except for rant about it and hopefully lead to change alongside some of the other guys like Nick from the Foot Market, who does a very good job of roasting FIFA when it's merited. And like I said, alongside Curtin. Inception is also another guy who does a really good job at that, so hopefully more people will. I don't think so, but it's a matter of the people that have the big names. Like me, I can say whatever I want. I don't think a lot of people are going to see this anyway, so it's not like, you know, I'm going to be getting a huge amount of momentum from this and a huge reaction. But the people who do have a huge following, or at least a decent following, those are the guys that can somewhat at least impact change. And I hope that they do. I hope they do. I don't have a lot of faith in them, but I hope they do. Goalkeeper movement, like I said, is definitely something that doesn't belong in the game, but it continues to be in there. People continue to use it, so they're going to continue to bring it back. But time finishing, I think, is actually maybe worse, because time finishing adds this whole element of RNG to it, which means randomly numerated, random number generated, basically, where essentially if you hit a green time finish, then you have a really, really good chance of it at least being very dangerous and more than likely in a score, no matter where you are. But if you hit a regular shot, so without using time finishing at all, there's a lot more hit and miss to it. So a lot of times you'll take the same shot 3 times in a row or something like that, and one time it'll go in, the other 2 it'll go off, it'll completely miss the target, but not necessarily in the way that you would expect it to. So it's just it's a completely broken mechanic that's really ruined the finishing in this game. And unfortunately, as long as they continue to leave it in there, then I don't see how it's going to be fixed. But they have already confirmed that's going to be in FIFA 20. That's a disaster for people like me, who, like I said, are more purists about it and who are more interested in playing a good, fun FIFA than actually playing a game where there's broken mechanics and stuff like that. And I understand that there's a lot of people that love the freestyle aspects of this, but you know, I don't think it has any space in competitive FIFA. But it is what it is. Not much I can do about it, unfortunately. But I mean, but complain about it, like I said. Another thing that's really, really bad about this game is just kind of the goalkeepers in general. Like, if you can see, a lot of these goals are kind of scored to where they're like near post shots, and the goalkeeper in real life would almost always be blocking those. Like, near post shots are generally frowned upon in real life because they're just so hard to score. And unfortunately, in this game, for the most part, you're going to score them. You are going to score them just because for some reason the keepers, they kind of refuse to dive when it's near post shots. And the only way you can really fix that is by using goalkeeper movement. And like I said, that's really just fucking sad. Like, that's really sad because I don't want to use it. And if I don't use it, then I'm at a huge disadvantage. So it really breaks the game. It breaks the game and it breaks the meta. But I mean, that's just FIFA 19. And based on what I've heard from a few people like Inception who have gone out and they have played the game, Italian Stallion is a guy who I really like. These are all guys that have had the opportunity to play the game. And based on what they've experienced, FIFA 20 is actually worse with the finishing. FIFA 20 is better with the passing, but it's slower, so it's going to be a lot more frustrating to play, and this game was already extremely slow. Like I said, as soon as I tried the demo for the first time, I was disgusted by what I was feeling, because the game is slow. It feels like you're controlling something that is extremely heavy, while footballers, you know, for the most part, they're quick on their feet, they're light, they're powerful, they're just, you know, they're great athletes for the most part. And when you come using these players who are 95 overalls or, you know, 85 above or something like that, and they all feel like they're huge 6'3" guys who are weighing 200 pounds, something like that, and they're heavy, and they they don't feel like they're light on their feet. It's just really frustrating. That's what FIFA 19 felt. And even when I took like a month off in April and then came back for May, around Team of the Season time, I mean, as soon as I came back, I felt like, oh my god, dude, how was I even used to this game? And after 10 or so matches, it got back to normal, and it just kind of felt like it was normal. But still, man, like, this game is so slow, and then for people to be saying that FIFA 20 actually feels worse, it's just bananas. It really is bonkers how a game could possibly be worse than this, and that's really frightening. I will be pre-ordering it. Probably through FIFA 19, because I can't pay like $50 for it if I order it from there instead of paying $70, or instead of paying the $80 I've been spending the last few years for getting the better editions with like the 40 Ultimate Team packs. But I'm not gonna give them any extra money, because honestly, after this shit show of a game, I don't even think they deserve $50. But because I'm a huge football fan, and because of course I will be covering it for you guys once it comes out, then I will be buying it just because I'm a dumbass like that. That's how stupid I am. But I'm gonna buy it again. I'm hoping that there will be a better game, but I don't have a lot of faith in them, to be completely honest with you guys. I guess moving forward, some of the things that are actually good about the game. I'm going to take a little bit of water right here, so bear with me for a second. Some of the good things about the game is that for Ultimate Team at least, there was a ton of content. Like, you can say whatever you want, and a lot of the SBCs were shit. A lot of the promos were garbage. Like Fuddy's in particular has been awful. Thankfully, I didn't have any interest in it, so I bailed out after Team of the Season. But a lot of the SBCs have been pretty shit, like Ultimate Scream and stuff like that has been awful this year, in my opinion. So there's been a lot of really, really bad ones, but there's pretty much every single week been something to do. So I have to give them props for that. There's been a lot of content, and you definitely get your money's worth in terms of the amount of time and amount of content you have. It's just a matter of the gameplay needs to be as good as the menus. Like, if you look at FIFA 19 as what you would kind of expect from like Football Manager, for example, then it's a phenomenal game. It really is a great game. The menus are nice to look at. They're nice and fluid. They work really well. They're intuitive. So everything about the menus is really, really solid. The problem is the gameplay is shit. But if you look at the menus, like I said, it's really solid, which is why a lot of the players, you know, for the most part, what they do, and this is what I do pretty much as well, is from Monday to Thursday, they pretty much only work on the mobile app. All we do is trade. All we do is SBCs, trying to build up our team, build up coins, do all that type of stuff. And then, of course, we play the weekend league. That's the way to do it, because if you're wasting your time playing rivals, especially this year, there's really nothing there for you unless you want to be a truly elite player. For me, that's not really the point of this. Like, I'm not trying to be the best FIFA player in the world. I'm not trying to be a professional player. I'm not interested in that type of stuff. What I'm interested in is having a fun time, and I haven't had a fun time playing a FIFA game, like truly fun time, a fun overall experience for a year, like throughout the entire year, since I would probably say like FIFA. It was the previous gen console, to be completely honest with you guys. Like, FIFA 14 was pretty trash, and I definitely missed the days where you could build your team, like you could make your own personalized team on the FIFA website, and you could have all the players you want and all that good stuff. So it was a lot better back then, in my opinion. Just the games in general, because they weren't trying to push Ultimate Team down your throat so much, and because they were actually making it to where the game itself was good, and they weren't trying to sell you packs constantly, the game in general was just a lot better. Unfortunately, things haven't been the same ever since then, and it's been continuously worse time and time again. So, I mean, hopefully the next game will be better, but I don't have any faith of that, just to be completely honest with you guys. But other pros, because like I said, the SBCs, the amount of content there was actually really good. Some other pros is that they had a lot of really nice designs. For example, if you're playing Ultimate Team, and yes, I'm only going to be talking about Ultimate Team because really all the other modes are dead because they don't have any career mode improvements, which I'll talk about in a minute. And they haven't done anything to Pro Clubs, which I'll also talk about in a minute. So Ultimate Team is pretty much the only mode that you can really talk about, because it's the only one that people actually play. So they do have some really nice card designs, so that's always a plus. They have some really nice new animations for a lot of the things out there, like the walkouts and stuff like that. They have a lot of nice little animations. So if you're looking at it from a solely menu point of view, the game is phenomenal. But it's the gameplay that really breaks it, and of course that's the main thing in a FIFA game, because most of the time you're going to be spending, or at least you would hope, playing the actual game. Whether you're playing career mode, whether you're playing Ultimate Team, whether you're playing the Champions League mode, whatever you're playing, it does not matter. Online, offline, Ultimate Team, regular modes, whatever it is, career mode, Pro Clubs, the game is trash in all aspects, and it really is a shame. It really is a shame, but like I said, don't really seem to be improving at all. just to give you an example, like FIFA's career mode, which has always been my favorite mode, like ever since FIFA 06, that's been my go-to mode at all times because I just love being a manager. I love the transfer market. I love all that stuff. But they haven't improved it since like FIFA 12 or something like that. And the only good thing that they've actually done to the game isn't even a good thing in my opinion, because they added the whole cutscenes for transfers and stuff like that, which on paper is a good idea because it adds more immersion to it and makes it more realistic. But at the same time, it takes forever and there's no voice acting. So you're just sitting there reading the same text over and over again. And it gets frustrating after like the third player you buy. And it just makes the transfer market take forever in a mode that's already pretty long, considering you can go up to like 20 years. So, I mean, there's really just nothing good about the career mode this season. There's been no improvements forever, and they just continue to really leave the game the way it is, and that's not good at all. Pro Clubs is another great mode, which in my opinion was extremely fun when I used to play it, where essentially, if you don't know what that is, then it's basically where it's 11 players taking on 11 other players. So it's every player controls a position, and you develop your player as you go. You used to be able to use your face scan, but they got rid of that too, so that's stupid. But it's just a really, really fun mode because it's very personal to you. It's a great way to play with other people. Build up your own club if you want to, even. Like if you have like 11 friends, something like that, you can play with 11 different people, and it just becomes a really, really fun experience. But unfortunately, they haven't upgraded that in basically forever, and it doesn't seem like they're going to do that anytime soon. And it really is a shame. But I mean, Pro Clubs is one of those modes to where you really think that it has a lot of potential, and they just continue to just ignore it and not really give it what you would expect them to give it. Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of the main stuff. And before we close it out, I mean, there's one more topic that I really want to talk about, which is the whole dynamic difficulty issue, which is essentially where recently a patent was found where EA Sports, or EA Games, I guess in general, have a patent where basically they can insert mechanics like dynamic difficulty, which essentially means that if a player is struggling in a specific game or in a specific scenario, in a specific mission, whatever it is, then they can make the game easier for the person that's struggling, because their whole idea of it is that they want that player to continue to play their game. The way they look at it is, if somebody continues to lose, whether it's online or offline, then that player is more likely not going to play their game again. They're going to get bored, or they're going to get sick of it, they're going to rage quit, and they're just not going to play the game anymore, which of course is more than likely what should happen considering how bad the game is. But their logic is, okay, if we can keep them happy, make them win some games that they probably shouldn't win, then they'll probably stick around more, and they'll feel like they're actually improving, and they'll feel like they're beating players that are better than them, and that the game is somehow better than it actually is. So they have this kind of a mechanic in the game, which is just really, really awful if you think about it. So I mean, that just kind of goes to show you that this game in general, or this series, is kind of going down a very, very bad path. So that's something that really, really bothered me, and it's probably the biggest issue with the game as of right now, is the fact that it doesn't matter who you ask. If you ask them, do you believe the story that there is no dynamic difficulty in FIFA 19? Pretty much everybody's going to say no. Nobody will believe that shit, because everybody's experienced to where they're playing against a really bad team, playing against a really bad player, and yet they still manage to lose. They'll have 2 or 3 times the shot of their opponents. They'll have 2 or 3 times the possession of their opponents, and they will continue to not have anywhere near the amount of success that they should have against that player. And it happens time and time again, and you'll see it in a few of these clips here where you can't really tell because I'm not showing the entire matches, but if you see some of these entire matches, then there are some where I'm just way better than the opponent, and unfortunately some weird stuff happens, they end up scoring, and then I just get frustrated, and from there on it goes downhill. But there's plenty of scenarios where that happens, and it's really, really frustrating. But yeah, so as you can see right here, that's the end of my weekend league. I finished 18 wins, and what was it? Well, you just do the math, I didn't play one game, so 18-11. Yeah, I was 18-11. So it's not a great result for some of the better players out there, but for me it was my personal best, so I am happy with it. And I am happy to go out and end FIFA 19 on a positive note. But yeah, like FIFA 19 was just a giant shit show, and to give you an idea of how bad this game truly is, I'm going to go ahead and hit you guys with a clip from earlier today where I was streaming with my brother, and I did something that I haven't done in well over a decade, which was rage quit so hard that I fucking smashed my controller against a wall. I don't do that type of stuff. I get angry a lot, but I'm usually level-headed. I don't do this type of thing, and it just kind of goes to show you that, yeah, it, sometimes you just can't really take it, and sometimes it's fucked up, but sometimes it happens. Oh well, FIFA 19. Yeah, I've wrapped it up on Twitch. I've been streaming it the last couple of days because I have a friend, Fabio, who pretty much only watches FIFA, and he wanted to see me and my brother Gianluca play some FIFA, so we figured, all right, fuck it, we'll play it. But yeah, if it wasn't for that, then I absolutely would not be playing FIFA for another match of FIFA until basically FIFA 20 comes out. So yeah, this game has been awful. Worst FIFA of all time. And I'm gonna just put the little clip here at the end for you guys to see. So yeah, that's kind of my final reaction. That's kind of my final thoughts summed up in a little clip. So thank you guys for listening. I hope you lasted the entire 30 minutes, more or less. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, definitely let me know in the comment section down below and hit the like button, subscribe. I'll leave my link to Twitch in the description down below, but I will go ahead and read it out for you. It's www.twitch.tv/EggoWaffle12. So hopefully you guys will check that out. Yeah, and hopefully you guys will join me when FIFA 20 comes out, and hopefully it will be a better game. Because if it's anything like this, then it's going to be an absolute disaster. Yeah, thanks guys. See you in the next episode.